This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and today we're going to do a smackdown between the Microsoft Surface RT tablet and Android tablets. So we're going to use a couple of Android tablets because there's a big selection out there and they offer different features, but just to see how each operating system compares and which one might be best for you, we're going to look at them now. If you follow our videos, you know we've already done a smackdown between the Microsoft Surface RT tablet and the newest new iPad with Retina display, and this time we're doing Android, but Android is rather a varied ecosystem, so we're bringing two different kinds of tablets in for this comparison. We have the Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1 here, which is famous for its pen, active digital pen, something that neither of these two tablets have. You can only use capacitive styluses with them. So this is great for the note takers, the graphic artists, those of you who want to mark up PDFs. And then we have the Lenovo IdeaPad S2110, which, like the Asus Transformer series of tablets, comes with a detachable keyboard dock right here. So it competes productivity-wise for those of you who actually do a whole lot of typing with the Surface that's available with this touch cover here that has a touch typable keyboard, and you can also get this with a clicky keyboard as well for $10 more, called the Touch Type keyboard. Both of the Android tablets have a 10.1-inch display. That's pretty much standard for Android tablets in the 10-inch class. Microsoft goes a little bit bigger with their 10.6-inch display. They all have 16:9 aspect ratio. 1366 by 768 resolution on the Surface tablet. And for these guys here, these are not HD tablets, so we have the usual 1280 by 800 resolution. So a little bit more pixels going on with the Surface. Not a super duper lot, but it's the same resolution as your average 13 to 15-inch laptop computer. And given the fact that the screen size is a little bigger, we're still looking at the same overall pixel density across all these products. They all have very good quality displays. Lenovo has an IPS display that's particularly bright. It's 400 nits of brightness. Samsung uses their PLS technology. Nice, colorful, not as blown out as you would see on Galaxy phones. And this guy has an IPS display as well. Not as bright as the Lenovo at 300 nits of brightness, but still a very nice display. Bonded Gorilla Glass here for safety. The operating system obviously is the biggest differentiator here. You have Microsoft Windows 8 RT running on the Surface tablet. And if you've watched our review of the RT tablet, you'll know that that means that it runs the full Windows 8 UI. You've got here the modern UI, plus the desktop. You have access to My Computer, the control panels, all those things you'd expect to see on a Windows computer, but it's running on an ARM Tegra 3 processor, so it doesn't run Intel and AMD applications meant for Windows 7. So it's a mobile operating system in that respect, not unlike Android. It does not run full Windows EXE applications. You're going to rely on getting apps from the Microsoft Store. So anything that you see in the Microsoft Store here is fair game. We have Netflix, we have Hulu, we have Kayak, ABC News, Skype, a decent selection of applications, but right now we're looking at 5,000 applications, and now that number is growing very quickly, and you know Microsoft is a giant. They have the force, shall we say, to get developers behind this, and since the same UI runs on all Windows 8 computers, there's certainly motivation for developers to get stuff going here. But that doesn't mean you're going to get full Adobe Photoshop or Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 here. Now with Android, obviously Android is Android. It does not run Windows applications either, but you have a much bigger store for applications. The Google Play Store has quite a large selection of applications, both for tablets and for phones that scale up to the big display. But we have things like Dead Trigger, top driving games, Tier 1 games available on Android that have not appeared for Surface RT yet. So in terms of application selection, right now Android wins. Again, a year from now that may not be the case, but it's something to keep in mind. One thing I would say about Surface though is it runs full IE10 for the web browser with Adobe Flash, so a lot of applications really are basically shortcuts or portals to websites, and because the mobile browsers are less capable because they don't support Flash and stuff like that, or they get turned away because it identifies a mobile browser, that's not going to happen here. This just identifies as IE10, so you can go to places like Hulu.com and watch videos for free. You don't need the apps as much for some of these, is what I'm trying to say. But that's still not going to get you Dead Trigger. In terms of responsiveness of the UI, I would give Surface RT an edge. It's incredibly responsive and fast. It's right up there with the iPad for being zippy. Now, a lot of these applications that it comes with are based on having an online connection. Your news, sports, and weather kind of applications, your social networking stuff. So also, the perceived speed of a Surface RT tablet depends on how good your internet connection is. If app seems to take a while to load, it's probably because it's pulling data and the internet connection may not be fast enough to make it seem as immediate as you want. For anything that's stored locally though, it's very quick. For example, if we go to the desktop and we launch Word, that quickly we've launched Word. It's pretty darn quick, and considering this is a very full version of Word, not some very stripped down mobile version of Office here, that's just nice and impressive. And that speaks to the productivity advantage of a Surface RT tablet. This is the only mobile OS tablet right now where you're going to get real Microsoft Office 2013. This is the RT edition. It has all the features you would expect to see from Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote, but not Outlook, as you would get on the desktop equivalent. You got all the same menus, you've got all the same controls. You can actually put fonts in your fonts folder and bring new fonts in to use in Word and your other programs. Real important. Pretty much the only major thing that's missing here is support for macros. With these guys, there's a lot of third-party Office applications that are available for Android tablets. Some of them even come bundled with one of those. You can get Documents to Go, there's Polaris Office, Quick Office, and they have some of the features, but not all the features that you would see in full Office. So for those of you who really use some of the more advanced features, that's something to count on right there. And plus, you're going to have to buy them on the Android tablet if it doesn't come bundled with an Office suite. The good news is it's usually $30 or less to get yourself a full Office compatible suite. Now again, the reason we have these two different kinds of tablets here is because you do have options when it comes to design style. For example, if you get the Galaxy Note, there is no docking keyboard like you get with Lenovo or like you would get with an Asus Transformer. With the Surface RT, this optional but generally speaking bundled by Microsoft cover/keyboard is pretty much a standard fare, and you have a built-in kickstand. In terms of material and design, this is absolutely lovely. Vapor magnesium casing, modern industrial design, very sturdy, perfectly put together. You feel like you're getting a high quality piece for your $499, which incidentally is the starting price for the Samsung Galaxy Note 10.1 16 gig storage model. Now, your Surface, you get 32 gigs for the price, but there is only about 16 gigs of available storage for your use, so you're pretty much on even ground there. Lenovo's been doing some pretty serious budget things with the prices of their Idea Tab tablets, and they often have sales, but you should be able to find this with the keyboard dock bundle for around $550 or so on Lenovo's website. If you just buy the tablet alone, it's going to be a bit cheaper, and that's also for the 16 gig version. So if we compare these in terms of build, take this keyboard off, just pops right off. It's going to be a little bit longer because it's 10.6 versus 10.1 inches. It's also a little bit heavier. The Surface is a 1.5 pound tablet and the Galaxy Note 10.1 is about 1.2, 1.3 pounds. So a little bit of a difference, but not a huge difference. Now with the Galaxy, you can see it's quite thin. Both of these tablets are quite thin. The Surface is 0.37 inches. This is a little bit thinner. You get a very plasticky design. That's one thing that's typical of Samsung products. It's not a bad looking tablet. It's available in gray or in white. But it's plastic. It feels like plastic. You can flex it a little bit because it is. It doesn't look like the really posh, fancy thing that the Surface RT does. Now, if you're looking at something like the Asus Transformer Infinity with its really nice metal super slim casing, then you're talking about some quality design that competes with the Surface RT. The Lenovo, on the other hand, well, it's not going to win any beauty contests, but I actually really like the way that they've designed this keyboard dock right here. It surrounds the entire bottom of the tablet, unlike the Transformer Infinity, where it puts pressure on the display because it's only coming up in the center section and kind of resting against the glass. This may not be the prettiest thing, but it's really solid. Like the Transformer Infinity, there's a battery in here so you can extend your runtime significantly, and this is the best keyboard I have ever used on a transforming style device. And you close it. Stippled plastic, yes, we're talking plastic. It's not really a gorgeous looking piece. It's serviceable, it's sturdy, it's not pretty. And when we take it out of the dock, it's actually a little bit more attractive. It looks like your typical tablet, doesn't it? Also fairly slim, also quite light, a little bit lighter than the Surface. So among these particular set of tablets, I would say clearly the Surface wins for a kind of high-end build materials, beautiful looking, nice metal casing. Transformer Infinity would also give it a run for the money though with its nice metal casing. For those of you who are really interested in that keyboard experience, even the Surface RT with the clickable keyboard still isn't as nearly as good as Lenovo. Lenovo really just has an excellent chiclet style keyboard, much better than the Transformer Infinity's keyboard as well. So if typing quality is important to you, Lenovo really wins in that case. Clearly with the Samsung, well, there is no keyboard dock available for it. You can buy Bluetooth keyboards and use those with the tablet if you want to, and then there's quite a variety of Bluetooth keyboards on the market. Any of them will work with this. Really depends on which one you buy. But then you're carrying two pieces around. Now for the Samsung, what sets it apart is the digital pen, actual Wacom digitizer, and those of you who have used Windows tablets of old from the days before Windows 8 know what that means. Digital pen is much more precise. In fact, you can even just hover over the screen and do actions. If you're a graphic artist, if you're a note taker who's serious, a capacitive stylus, which has no pressure sensitivity and has a fat tip because that's the nature of the way capacitive sensors work, is just not a great way to be taking notes, certainly not for drawing and painting. This guy wins. For those of you who need to annotate PDFs, you can do that. You can just download Adobe Reader and you can actually digitally sign documents, you can mark them up. And there's a whole lot of pen-aware little features that Samsung has added. So there you have it. Surface RT, no active digital pen. A Surface Pro should have that. Surface Pro is going to be a more expensive £2 version of the RT that's going to run full Windows 8 Professional. Since the Galaxy Note 10.1 is a consumer-oriented tablet, you also get some neat things like an IR remote with Peel. That's something that you'll find on some Android tablets. Motorola actually does that as well. So for those of you who are looking for a little power on the couch when you're watching your movies and you want to control all of your AV gear, you got that on Android tablets, not on Surface. Now really, I think Android is a more direct competitor to Surface because it does have these kind of productivity options here, and also USB support on a lot of tablets. Now the Lenovo is actually pretty cool because it has two full-size USB ports on the dock. With Samsung, you're going to have to buy a USB dongle adapter. It costs you about 20 bucks if you want to use USB peripherals. And Android supports keyboards, mice, flash drives, hard drives, FAT32 for sure, NTFS, it depends on the tablet that you're getting. Lenovo does do NTFS, for example, Samsung does not. And Surface is a little bit more special. Besides keyboards, mice, game controllers, flash drives, and hard drives, it has a whole lot more USB support because it's built on Windows. That means optical drives in addition to printers, but still it doesn't have the full suite of all Windows drivers. For example, if you plug in a USB 3G dongle, there are no drivers for that, and there are no downloadable drivers at this point. Will they come in the future? Maybe they will. Maybe manufacturers will start to offer drivers for those products, but still you get the turnkey storage. You don't have to worry about, does it have it, do I need dongle adapters, do I have NTFS or not. Certainly, because this is Windows, you get NTFS support on the product. And you get the whole My Computer experience, and you can browse easily, removable storage. Android is pretty computer-like in that respect, and its support for removable storage. Again, just confusing. Sometimes you don't know which tablets do support USB, which don't. With Surface RT, you just know you got everything for the standard suite of peripherals that I mentioned. How about multimedia players? Both of these come with video and music players built in. Android's a little bit more mature, so you're going to find a selection of video and music players. If you're not happy with the built-in ones, though, they're fairly capable, so you can add more file format support. Because RT is so new, pretty much you just got the basic players, which means MPEG-4 based video, that's MP4, that's AVI files, and MP3 music is supported. And we've got the same 1080p movie trailer here, and they can both play equally as capably. And in fact, most Android tablets are running on the same CPU these days, higher-end Android tablets, as the RT is a Tegra 3 1.3 GHz, 1.4 GHz when only one of the 4 cores is running. And the Samsung Galaxy Note has Samsung's amazing quad-core Exynos CPU, so all of these you've got about the same amount of horsepower to work with. So we'll check out the Avengers video here. Stereo speakers on both of these tablets.
What do we do?
Neither is hugely loud, but both offer pretty good stereo separation. Play just fine. One thing in favor of the Surface RT and also the Lenovo is micro HDMI out. If you want to watch this on a monitor or an HD TV, with the Samsung you're going to have to buy an adapter to get micro HDMI out. Now we'll play the same video on the Surface. Plays equally well.
So when we needed them,
not hugely high in speaker volume, but good quality sound.
we never could.
Now with all of these you have access to Netflix. There's actually a Netflix app, even though it's not really necessary on RT. And Hulu Plus, only regular Hulu is available on the RT because you can use IE10 and Flash to play that stuff. In terms of other streaming content, you get integration with Xbox Music and Xbox Video on the RT, formerly known as Zune Video and Music also. And with these guys, you have Google Play Store, you have Amazon MP3 Store. Amazon Prime Video, a little bit iffy. Adobe Flash is no longer available on the market for Android tablets. However, you can still find it yourself and download it. Go to Adobe's website, search for Adobe Flash for Android, download it, and then you run the little APK installer using your file manager to find it. And then you've got Adobe Flash. So you can still get Amazon Prime Video going there, but again, it's always been a little bit bulky, a little bit stress on an Android tablet. You also get Samsung's movie and music store going on this one. A lot of Android tablets and manufacturers get behind it and try to put up their own content. And of course on all of these you can stream Slack or other popular streaming radio services. Talking just tablet only and not keyboard dock to extend battery life, you're looking at about the same battery life for all these guys, which is about 8 hours on a charge with mixed use, including some video streaming, a couple of demanding tasks, and push email turned on. For those that come with keyboard docks, obviously you're going to extend battery life. For Asus, it ups battery life about 33%. For Lenovo, they managed to add about 6 hours with their dock to the existing tablet's battery life. So for those of you who really need to get going on the go, those keyboard docks can be really handy for that feature. When it comes to cameras, Surface RT has 720p cameras front and back, really just designed for video chat on Skype. Not very nice photos. You're not going to be using them to take pictures. These guys have 5 megapixel cameras on the rear, front video chat cameras. Definitely better for taking pictures. The Samsung has a nicer camera than the Lenovo in terms of quality. Something you actually might use to capture some video and some photos here and there. Not a whole lot of Android tablets have 3G or 4G wireless. If they do, they're often offered by your carrier for those of us who are in the US. However, Lenovo does offer an unlocked 3G option. That's GSM-based 3G if you want to use that as a full-size SIM card slot. The Note is a Wi-Fi only tablet. The RT is a Wi-Fi only tablet. So again, looking at Android tablets, not just as multimedia devices, but as productivity products that have some strong points compared to, say, the iPad that's a little bit more about media consumption, they hold their own. They put up a good fight against RT. They do have things like USB, mass storage support, peripheral support. However, like I said, it gets a little confusing and a little dicey as to which tablets have what support and whether you need a dongle and what kinds of things are supported, but there's a pretty good rule of thumb as to just only the basics going to be supported on Android. More robust USB support here is the selling point. Full Office is the selling point here. So again, RT really looking at the productivity crowd at this point. As more applications show up in the App Store, that may change and multimedia may become an even bigger part of the experience. One thing Microsoft could do to actually make the multimedia experience even more enjoyable, now the players on here, the music, the video storage, they're just great. But the thing is that if you have external storage like the micro SD card slot, all of these guys have card slots, it doesn't automatically pull stuff into your video and your music players. You actually have to use Windows Explorer to play them. It's very weird. It only shows you stuff that's on internal storage. Now, Android, on the other hand, almost all tablets, if you have a micro SD card installed, it's going to pull it into the gallery player, into your music, Google Play music player, no problem. So you don't actually have to worry about that kind of thing. So that's our comparison of Microsoft Surface RT here. First Windows 8 RT tablet available for Microsoft, and a couple of Android tablets. You can see that they have different strengths, but they're both good tablets. Be sure to read our written review of all these tablets, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.